Oh my goodness. Alright, if you're seeing this video, that means that I did this entire video without yawning or like falling asleep. Oh man. Anyways, what's up guys? This is the Power Up Mushroom. I'm coming to you guys with a news video. A news video that's a little different, and I kind of want to talk about it because it's a video that can be open for discussion. I'm probably going to have to make like it's going to be a long discussion, guys, so I'll probably have to come back to this later on in a different video, but I want to get this news out there because I heard about this and it's really exciting news because it's something that I think everybody wants, and I mean it's gonna come down to what everybody wants. And so basically it all comes down to one of the Square Enix directors for Final Fantasy 12. He made in a statement that I mentioned this like in a past video a long time ago that Square Enix was interested in doing some Final Fantasy remakes, and the director for Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age, he actually came out and straight up said that, hey, we're open for new ideas, and pretty much that the next Final Fantasy remake is going to be up to us. So I'm going to read that quote that he said, that way y'all can, kind of know what he said word for word, and I'll leave a link in the description below to that article that you guys can check it out. So go ahead and check it out. And here's what he says in the second quote. We really have to hear their voices on that. If they want to see a remake or a remaster of a certain game, then that's more likely to be the one that we go for. I've personally been working for Square Enix for 20 years now, and I've got a lot of memories from that time. I think the way that we look at it is not the game that we would like to remake, it's really down to what the players, the fans, want to see. And I mean, like, so that's really cool. So that means that really any Final Fantasy game can be remade. Like any Final Fantasy game. That's a lot of Final Fantasy games to choose from. Legit, I'm gonna be honest, I got my wish already. Final Fantasy VII is happening. That's what I wished for a long time ago, and I got it, so I'm happy. But now it comes down to really everybody else. And I mean, if my input on this, I'm still going to vote. I have to vote on a Final Fantasy game, and hopefully they do something on Twitter or something, I don't know, maybe like a little voting pool or something on their website, and people can choose. But I'm going to go through the Final Fantasy games, and like, I mean, I really think that most of the Final Fantasy games, that I think like 4 and back, don't really need a remake because we've seen so many different versions of those games. So Final Fantasy 1 and 2, literally they've been released like kind of side by side ever since the PlayStation. So we got one on the on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and on Super Famicom we got Final Fantasy 2. Then on PlayStation we got 1 and 2 and Chronicles, Final Fantasy Chronicles. Then we got them again in Dawn of Souls for the Game Boy Advance. Then we got them again on freaking, I think it was a PSP. It was a PSP. We got the actual remastered versions of the iOS. But they're really good. I like those versions the best. So we've seen them, and they also got like small little bit CGI cutscenes a little bit. So I mean, that was really cool. And so I think that those are fine. They're good the way they are. I got to see the Emperor the way I wanted to see him. I mean, really, and to be honest, they were kind of a little light on story. They weren't really deep in story. Final Fantasy 3 on the other hand, I really think that is kind of the one that's kind of the odd one out. More odd out than Final Fantasy 5, and here's why. Final Fantasy 3, no one really got to we never really saw Final Fantasy 3 until like 2006 on the Nintendo DS. And really, I think on the Nintendo DS, like, people got to play Final Fantasy 3 kind of. I mean, but there was just a lot of other games on like, no one really played 3, and it's just, I mean, I think it's more odd than 5, but I think it's still up there with 5, like really down, I mean, up there, and like it being rare that people would want to see it. So 5 and 3 I kind of hold at the same point. So, I mean, I don't know if people are going to vote for 3 or 5 at all. Final Fantasy 4, it really comes down to, like, I was seeing Final Fantasy 4 remade, again, just like Final Fantasy 1 and 2, it's been remade a lot. Final Fantasy 4 came out in Chronicles with, I think it came with Chrono Trigger on the PlayStation, and then again on the Game Boy Advance, and then again on the PSP, released alongside the After Years, which is like an expansion. So we got I know we got cutscenes in there, and not only that, but we also got a version on the DS. And then it's just, like I said, we've seen versions of Final Fantasy 4. But I don't think that we would get a Final Fantasy IV remake for a while. If this does continue what Square Enix is doing and listening to us, I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna get what they want, and we're gonna all get a Final Fantasy remake of a specific game some point in time. We're probably gonna be super old, but it's probably gonna happen. But I mean, and then Final Fantasy V. I mean, that's the odd one out. Like I said, it's just gonna be up there with 3. I don't think it's gonna get remade because, yeah, granted, I think it was released with the Final Fantasy Anthology. Not a lot of people know who Bartz is or who Exdeath is. If they do, it's from Final Fantasy Dissidia. They didn't really like go and witness Final Fantasy V front forward, on the, like they were supposed to, because really, I think we only got one release of it, and that was for, I think that was for PlayStation. Final Fantasy V. The only way we can play is through the PlayStation 1. No, I think we got a Game Boy Advance version too. I take that back. Yeah, I think we got an advanced version. And then Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy VI is one of those that is just like 4. It's created so much memories, but it hasn't gotten remastered. We haven't seen a remaster of Final Fantasy VI. We've seen an iOS port of Final Fantasy VI, but we've never seen a remaster or reskin like Final Fantasy 4, 1, 2, 3 got 3D modeling, so I mean, there you go. 5, we kind of got it. I mean, not really, it hasn't really been expanded on. But 6 is the one that everyone's played. A lot of people have a lot of memories of 6, and it's one of those that it has a lot of memorable scenes. And the scenes that I'm talking about are like the opening scenes. Like, I think, when I was a kid and I saw Final Fantasy VI for the first time on the Super Nintendo, it really, a lot of things went through my mind. Like, when I saw that game being played and the opening scene where the mechs are walking through the snow, and just that epic storyline of just this girl being the one who can use magic, and like people are kind of moving more to machines and everything. It's just, it's so cool. It just, and it really could have made it like its own cinematic universe. And it's one of those times where people actually got a taste of what it was like to have a video game feel like a movie with that opening scene. And the music is so well just put. And with all the different kind of music renditions or remasters that they have done, especially with the Final Fantasy Worlds Tour, the Symphony Tour, and all those different like compositions and like they've done with the Final Fantasy VI game, I think it deserves a remake. Of all the games, I think I would choose Final Fantasy VI. Because there's just so many memories there, and so many just different things that they could do with it, different characters, different voice acting. They can add voices finally to Final Fantasy VI. How would you like to see Kefka like voice acted? Never mind, they already did that in Dissidia, but they can expand on the character more. We can get to witness these characters up front, and these voice actors can kind of provide the voices for these characters such as Locke, Edward, Terra. I mean, we have all those characters there that we could see, and I think, and the story is really good. There's really good storylines in this game, and I just feel like it would benefit a lot if they actually did a remake of Final Fantasy VI. And Final Fantasy VI is the one I would choose. So I would tweet Square Enix saying, "Hey, I would like to see a Final Fantasy VI remake." That's just me. Final Fantasy VII, like I said, we're already getting that. Final Fantasy VIII and IX is kind of where I see people dividing. Like, I see a lot of people dividing between 6, 8, and 9. Those are the ones I see. Because Final Fantasy, back then on the PlayStation, Final Fantasy games were like held at really high quality. And like, I'm talking high quality. And people, legit, there are people who, everybody has their favorite Final Fantasy game. Nobody is really going to have the same Final Fantasy game. They're not going to like it for the same reason as someone else. Like, each person have their own experience with Final Fantasy, and usually that first Final Fantasy game that they played is the one that they really like. So people who played Final Fantasy 8 and 9, there's just a lot of fans out there who like 8, and there's a lot of people who like 9. But 9, I think, kind of falls more in that cult following because it came out so late. It was so late to the party because PlayStation 2 is coming out, and Final Fantasy 9, I mean, there are just very few people out there that I talk to who I know who've played Final Fantasy 9. Like, I don't know a lot of people who have played that game. I know more people who have played 8 and 6 than I do people who have played 9 and 5. So I don't think that 9 and 5 would actually get voted to be remastered. I think in the end, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to Final Fantasy 8 and Final Fantasy 6. I think those are the two candidates that are really going to be fighting like at the top for a remake. And it's going to be really hard, but like I said, I want to see Final Fantasy 6. The reason being, we haven't seen anything done with Final Fantasy 6. We've just seen ports. They've been straight up ports. They haven't added anything, I don't think. Like I said, 6, I know they got the PlayStation Anthology, and which is a straight up port of the SNES. Game Boy Advance was a port of the PlayStation 1. And it was just kind of released, alongside the... It was just re-released. That's all Final Fantasy VI has on it. It's just been re-released. The iOS version is out there, but I'm pretty sure everybody wants to see Kefka, Edward, Terra, Locke, all those characters. Just they want to see them live in like a CGI story, epic storyline. It'd be so cool to see Final Fantasy VI on there. But then this also draws the question about spin-offs of Final Fantasy. And this is where I kind of come in, and I want to say, like, I would really like to see Crisis Core get released, like a remaster, at least a remaster, because the game looks phenomenal already. Like, if we could get a remaster of Final Fantasy Crisis Core that people could play it, it'd be perfect to release it like kind of alongside Final Fantasy VII. But that's just me. But anyways, I want to keep this video kind of short. I'm running out of film on my camera. Like not film, but like space. So I got to free up space and all that. But I would have to make a second video on this, because really this could be a huge discussion for a lot of people, and a lot of people can talk about this. And really, if you're watching this, talk about it. Talk about it in the comments. Talk about it on your channel. Let me know what you guys think. What Final Fantasy would you guys like to see? This is really a discussion for really all of Final Fantasy fans. And for people who have been watching my channel for like forever, I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. So I could talk about this for days. That's why I would have to make a second video. I'll probably do a second video, not today, which is Friday, because today later on I'm going to be streaming Final Fantasy VII, but maybe tomorrow, which is a Saturday or something, or maybe I'm lost on days. I'm pretty sure Friday. It'd be Friday I'd release another video talking about this, because like I said, we can talk about this all day. We can talk about remasters all day and everything. This is just something we need to get out there. Everybody who's a Final Fantasy fan, you need to get this out there. Get this news to fans and get them to tweet Square Enix what we want to see next. Granted, right now, yes, they're working on Final Fantasy VII Remake right now. So like I said, I'm happy. But for other people who are out there who want to see other games, and like I said, Final Fantasy VI I think is the way to go. I think that's a perfect game to get remastered. And like I said, I'll go more into depth with this in a different video. But, really guys, thank you guys for watching. And like I said, leave a like, comment, subscribe, upvote this video if you're watching on Vidme. And please, let me know. What would you guys like to see? Leave it in the comments. Do video responses. Let Square Enix know. Tweet about it. I would like to see you guys, like I said, I'll see you guys next time. But anyways, guys, this is ThePowerUpMushroom, and I will see you guys in the next video. And until next time, you guys take care.